Hi, everyone. This is John V. Santor in Sunset Park, and I just wanted to provide an update on the 783 Fourth Avenue rezoning project because we got some new information last week and I wanted to share it with you. We're talking about 783 Fourth Avenue, otherwise known as the former St. Rocco's church site and the St. Rocco's Annex building. It is online. If you want to check the filings, you can go to the zoning application portal for the city. You can just search for zoning application portal, search for 783 Fourth Avenue. You can find this page right here. Not yet noticed, to my understanding, means the project has not entered ULURP yet. It has not entered the uniform land use review process. Hold on, I always get this wrong. ULURP, New York City, Uniform Land Use Review Procedure. Ah, I messed it up. Uniform Land Use Review Procedure. So the fact that it is not yet noticed means that ULURP has not started. ULURP has changed because of ballot proposals that passed last November. So we have to talk about that. But I just wanted to present some of the information that was recently made available. And we're going to go through that in just a minute. So again, what is the site that we're talking about here? 783 4th Avenue. We're talking about the corner of 27th Street. Talking about the corner of 27th Street and 4th Avenue. Here is 27th Street. Here is 28th Street. Here is the former St. Rocco's church site, which is not active and has been inactive for a while. There's also a building here that is involved in the rezoning. Then here is the St. Rocco's church site. And then there is also an additional property which is involved in the rezoning as well, which is here on 28th Street. So let's go ahead and double check all of this because it's super important to make sure I'm looking at the right stuff, make sure we're looking at the right stuff. I'm going to go to some of the filings that were previously put out by the developers. Watermark Capital and the Fifth Avenue Committee are the developers involved. So again, to my understanding, this is still the project, Building A, Building B, next to it, and Building C, three different buildings on 27th Street and 28th Street. So again, not yet noticed, not yet in the ULURP process, but let's talk about the latest information. So this is a document that I put together. So last week on February 27th, the chair of CB7, Julio Pena, mentioned that he, two other CB7 board members, and the council person, Alexa Vilas, had a private meeting with the developers of the 783 4th Avenue rezoning project. So again, that's Fifth Avenue Committee and Watermark Capital. And they provided an update on their proposal. I'm reading here from a statement that Chair Pena sent to me. He said that there is increased affordable units and a change in layout. There will be an upcoming land use committee meeting scheduled very soon, where we will get the same presentation and give an opportunity for greater feedback from the larger community. If you want to watch that, just go to the most recent board meeting for CB7 on their YouTube page, and you will get that information. I'm sorry, I apologize. This is not an email that Chair Pena sent to me. This is my transcript of what he said at the meeting. I then emailed for additional information, and he noted that the committee, the chair of the land use committee, and councilperson Aviles and himself, he said the land use committee leadership, the chairperson, meaning himself, the land use committee leadership, and the councilperson met with the developers of 783 4th Avenue, the St. Rocco site. They did not provide the board with any slides or documents, but the same presentation they received will be presented to the full land use committee sometime in March when it is scheduled. So again, this is what, let me just correct this again. This is what Chair Pena said to the full board. And then in a subsequent email to me, he clarified that there's going to be a land use committee in March, and we're going to get the same presentation that was shown in private. And he also confirmed that this private meeting took place on February 2nd, 2026. So on February 26th, I sent an email to Eric Plotnick, who was the land use attorney for Watermark Capital. He participated in the first presentation, the first and only presentation that Watermark and the Fifth Avenue Committee have done at CB7. This was last June 2025. And I asked these questions. Is there updated documentation concerning the project that you can share publicly? And do you intend to have the project certified for ULURP at a specific point in the future? And if so, when? So those were the two questions that I sent to Eric Plotnick, the land use attorney. Okay, so an associate of Mr. Plotnick responded, we anticipate the project will be certified by city planning in the early spring, April to May, after which there will be hearings at Community Board 7. So the first thing to note, again, is that this project is not in ULURP yet, but it could be in ULURP as soon as, hold on, I gotta get my screen organized here. It's not in ULURP yet, but it could be in ULURP as soon as April or May. So today is March 4th. March 4th. So it could be in ULURP in a matter of 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, basically, according to this associate. And once the ULURP clock starts, it does not stop unless the application is removed, as far as I understand it. I responded, do you have updated project documentation that you can share? And the associate pointed out that there is updated project documentation on the ZAP page. And he said that and here it is, it's under public documents, filed package 2. He said filed package 2. And if you look at filed package 2, file number 1, this is what I found that was most relevant. I wrote down, I see a project description from January 26th entitled 783 4th Avenue Project Description. Is this the most updated breakdown of the units being proposed? And I also again asked for renderings of the project. And are there any important changes to the project that were presented during the February 2nd meeting with the council person? And the associate from Watermark Capital said that the project description you noted is the latest for the formal application materials. We would invite you to attend the community board hearings in the coming months to see the latest information on unit, mix, and affordability. Okay, so in other words, again, and I asked, can you confirm if the design of the buildings has changed, and if so, how? Are any new renderings available? And I did not receive a response to that email. So what was in this document? Again, you can just find this document right here by going to the ZAP portal page. You can go to the filed LU package version 2. There it is right there. So when you open up this document, this is what's on the first page, and it's got a new description of the 3 buildings. So again, the goal here is 3 buildings. Watermark Capital said that they were going to build buildings A and B, and then the 3rd building is going to be a permanently fully affordable building that the Fifth Avenue Committee is going to develop. So you've got 2 MIH buildings, or 2 buildings with a certain number of affordable units. I don't know if they're technically called MIH buildings. That would be worth knowing. And then there's 1 fully affordable building. Okay, so let's look at the breakdown. So what I did was I just compared this to the presentation to CB7 from last June, which again, you can get if you go to the CB7 YouTube page. If you go to the community board page and you go back, it's about 9 months ago. This was the last presentation that was given by Watermark Capital. So if you look at that presentation, because I actually messed this up, this was a point of confusion for me. So the last time I did a meeting on this was last November, and I presented some numbers from the project that were from a previous version or a different version of the proposal than the one that was presented to CB7. So last June 2025, the one that is actually online, the actual proposal to CB7 offered this for building A, building B, and building C. Okay, it offered building A 76 market rate, 22 affordable units. Building B 67 market rate, 18 affordable units. Building C, no market rate, 43 affordable units. And it said that this was going to be overall 226 units across 3 buildings, 83 permanently affordable units, 37% of them would be affordable. Okay. And then they also compared it. This is again all from what they showed the board in June of last year. They compared it to Arrow Linen, which was 40% of the dwelling units were permanently affordable, between 30 and 80% AMI. The Totem 737 4th Avenue project, which was 25% of the units were affordable at 48% AMI. And then 783 4th Avenue, they wrote, the project at 783 4th Avenue aims to provide a similar level of affordability of both of the other recent approved projects in this area. Both of these projects were approved. The project proposes almost 37% of the proposed development's total dwelling units to be permanently affordable, 83 out of 226, but will provide lower AMIs averaging 58% AMI. 58% AMI. Okay, that is from last June. So if you compare those numbers to what was filed in January of this year, so I'm comparing that to this document, which is online here now as a updated version, because this project has obviously had some changes. There have been multiple documents out there suggesting what it is, but here's the comparison. Last June, building A, same number of units, building B, same number of units. There was one increase, one unit more that was affordable. That's been added in building A. Building B lost one affordable unit, so those cancel out. And then building C gained 5 affordable units from 43 to 48. So I wrote, in June 2025, the proposal included 226 units, of which 83 were affordable, or 37%, averaging of 58% AMI. In January January of this year, the proposal included 231 units, of which 88 were affordable, or 38%. The units were at an average of 55% AMI. Okay, I need to understand better exactly what this means at an average of 57 or 58% AMI, 55% AMI, exactly what that is referring to. I believe that's the average affordability level of the unit, meaning the who would qualify for the unit, essentially. On average, the person qualifying for an affordable unit would be making 55% of the area median income. That household, on average, that would qualify would be making 55% of the area median income. I believe that's correct. Worth clarifying. Okay. So, in other words, this project has added 5 affordable units, and it has gotten a bit more affordable in terms of the depth. It went 3 deeper, 3 percentage points deeper in terms of its affordability. And then I just have some information here again. This new breakdown is pretty similar to the letter that Eric Palatnik, the land use attorney, sent to CB7 last September. That also said 226 units, 83 affordable, 58% average AMI. So again, that looks like 83, 83, 83. So similar numbers overall. But the project has gotten a bit more affordable, a bit deeper in terms of affordability, and 5 more affordable units have been added. But again, we've got 2 buildings here that are, primarily market rate, and then you've got 1 fully affordable building. So this was the breakdown that Eric Palatnik provided last September. So the current version of this project is not too dissimilar from what Eric Palatnik provided. And I just wanted to clarify that actually, if you go back to a previous version of this discussion, I had confused things because I had actually presented incorrect numbers. I presented numbers that were on a version of the presentation from March of 2025, but they were not the numbers that were actually shown to CB7. So this is what I had previously presented, and these numbers have been updated. The biggest change was that apparently originally building C was larger. It had 64 affordable units, and now, and it was an overall larger project, 247 apartments, 42% of which were affordable. This was, I believe, I mean, I have a document that was shared with me. I believe it was shared with the board, given to me. It was 247 units at 42% AMI. So I think the board got this at some point in 2024 or 2025. But again, the most current, this is the most current breakdown as of January. 3 buildings, 88 affordable units out of 231 at an average of 55% AMI. So that's where we're at right now. Community Board 7 is going to be having a meeting in March about this project. So that's one takeaway. Maybe I should just write down some takeaways and next steps. Okay, so we've got project updates. We've got 230. Let's see how many total units. We've got 231 units, 88% are affordable at 58% AMI, at 55% AMI, I'm sorry. 2 affordable at 58% AMI. We've got a CB7 meeting in March, date not set. Project could enter ULURP as soon as April. I would say that these are 3 key takeaways, or a couple of key takeaways, okay? Especially this last one. The project could enter ULURP as soon as April. And what does that mean? What does it mean to enter ULURP? Well, ballot proposal 4 passed last November. This proposal would change the current land use review process when the city council rejects or changes an affordable housing project. So this is from the New York City Votes website. This was their summary. The proposal would create an affordable housing appeals board made up of the local borough president, speaker of the city council, and the mayor. The proposal would allow the appeals board to reverse the city council's decision with a 2-to-1 vote. Ballot proposal 4 is in effect. So the reason this matters is this ballot proposal was designed to prevent a local city council member from blocking an affordable housing project. So if the council person doesn't like it, and the council person says, I'm voting against it, traditionally, the entire city council would just vote with that local person. It was called member deference. That was the end of the project. But now the developers can appeal. They can appeal to the Affordable Housing Appeals Board. And when they do that, if they get 2 votes from the local borough president and the speaker, they can overcome the veto. Or from the mayor, the borough president, the mayor, the speaker. They've got 3 people on this board. If they get 2 votes, that's all they need. And they overcome the city council and they overcome the local council member. So this is a big, big change. I did reach out on February 26th. I sent an email to the offices of Councilmember Alexa Vilas, Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso, City Council Speaker Julie Menon. I actually did not send this to the mayor's office, which I probably should have, but I requested a response on the project. I said, has your office participated? Oh, no, I didn't write participating, did I? I misspelled that word. It should say participated. We're going to fix that. Edit 3/4/26. Oh, gosh. Has your office participated in any pre-certification conversations with the developers behind this potential project? If so, when did you speak with them? So we now know that the councilperson has participated in at least one, February 2nd, according to the CB7 chair. What did you speak to them? When did you speak to them? Can you comment on the nature of the conversations? What land use or other guiding principles are you applying to this potential project to help you evaluate it? Do you have any comment on the potential proposal as it exists today? These were my 3 questions that I sent to Julie Menon, Borough President Reynoso, and Councilmember Vilas. and I have not gotten a response. I have not received a response from those offices. I could contact the mayor, and I probably should. I would say that the council person did do land use principles, did put out a series of land use principles last year, which are available on her website. Let's see if we can quickly find that. Alexa Avila's land use principles. This is a document that the council person put together. Housing. Proposals on city-owned land must be 100% affordable. This is not city-owned land. This is church land. It's owned by the Diocese of Brooklyn. I should have mentioned that at the beginning, of course. This is church land that is being leased to the developers. It was not sold, it's being leased. Proposals must include no net loss of affordable units and the relocation of existing tenants to comparable spaces. The following types of proposals are encouraged and will be given special consideration: 100% affordable housing, projects that go beyond MIH to maximize deeply affordable housing. I do think this project goes beyond MIH. That include dedicated units for seniors in supportive housing. I don't think that applies to this project. They're in areas with close proximity to public transit. Yeah, this project on 27th Street is close to the 25th Street R-line. That are in areas that are not produced, that have not produced significant new housing in the last decade. Well, there are not a lot of affordable units that are getting produced in this council district in CD 38. There is housing being built, but not a lot of affordable housing. I think Fifth Avenue Committee is the only organization that has built affordable units, about 100 or 110 affordable units on two projects, across two projects. And mixed-use residential that includes light industrial space outside the IBZ. This is outside the IBZ, to my knowledge, but I don't believe it includes any light industrial. So some of these land use principles do apply to this project, but not all of them, I would say, not all of them. I just want to do one more thing here. I just want to go and see, this is the website that I run. I want to look at the letter that I and some other people put together. This was sent, I just want to note that this letter was sent to Eric Palatnik, Michelle DeLauz, and the Diocese of Brooklyn on February 13th. It was signed by myself and I think 5 or 6 other local people. We requested a public meeting at your earliest convenience to discuss your St. Rocco's rezoning proposal and to take questions from the public. So there's been no response to this letter. I did copy the council person, the BP, Julie Menon, Brooklyn Community Board 7. I copied all of them. So I have not received a response to this letter, but we now know there will be a meeting in March to discuss the project. And then we also had these questions. These were some of the questions that we sent along with the letter. And these are all questions that I still have. And it's questions about the environmental assessment statements, the EAS, about the proposal, the rent that is being charged for access to the land. Did the Diocese of Brooklyn ever consider selling the property to New York City or leasing it to New York City? How many units are being proposed? What is the makeup of the units? What's the development cost for each building? How much does it cost to build these buildings, which of course affects the loans that the developers have to take out, which affects how much affordability they can offer in the buildings, to my understanding. What is the expected maintenance cost of the buildings? What are the sources of public financing being used? Are any other sources available? How would we estimate the profit margin for this project? How might additional subsidy, or how much additional subsidy would be required to add 1 unit of permanent affordable housing to this project? So for each additional affordable unit, how much money would you need to make that happen? I could say that this is asking about public subsidy, but I would also like to know, is there a way to reduce the cost of the buildings, reduce the construction and development cost, such that you could incorporate more affordable units? During the Arrow Linden discussion, the public was told that Catholic Charities was interested in developing 100% affordable projects on that site. Has Catholic Charities ever been contacted regarding this project? This seems very relevant. This is another property. This is a property. I shouldn't say another property. This is a property owned by the Catholic Church. Housing Not High Rises, the community organization that was in opposition to the Arrow Linden proposal in its initial forms, at least, said that they contacted Catholic Charities, and that Catholic Charities said we would be able and willing to do 100% affordable project on the Arrow Linden site. This is a property owned by the Catholic Church. Did anybody ever ask Catholic Charities if they were willing or able to do 100% affordable project on the site? How does the City of Yes for Affordability package, which was passed last year, impact the project? That's a whole other issue. The City of Yes changed what is permissible for housing developments. Is there any relevance to this housing development? Could architecture, construction, or design changes impact the development cost? If so, how? If so, how so? Could the ceiling heights of each apartment unit be lowered to reduce the overall height of the buildings while including the same number of units within them? This is me pretending to be an architect. I don't have any idea if this is a sensible question to ask, but it just seems to me like if you lowered ceilings a little bit, couldn't you get more units in a lower building, or the same number of units in a lower building? Or could you possibly add an additional floor if all the ceilings were lowered a little bit? Maybe there's architects who'd be like, that's a really bad. I did mention this to an architect once, and they were like, no, you don't want to do that. That's a really bad idea. Why not? I'd love to know why. Are the buildings using electric heating and cooling systems? Will the buildings get any energy from renewable sources? So these were questions that were sent on February 13th to the three developers, Eric Palatnik, Michelle Delauz, and they're the two developers, and it was also sent to the Diocese of Brooklyn. We also sent it to the councilperson, the VP, Julie Menon, CB7. So they've got these questions. These are some of the questions that I think it would be useful to have answers to. So I would say in terms of takeaways and next steps, collect more community questions, collect more feedback about the proposal. And do people in the neighborhood want this to enter ULURP in April or May? I mean, we were told that by an associate of Watermark. I mean, I would just point out that the Diocese of Brooklyn has never met with the public on this project. The Diocese of Brooklyn has not conducted any public meetings on this project. They sent a land use attorney to CB7 last June, but the diocese has never met with the public on the project. There has only been one CB7 hearing on the project. There has been no public survey made available on the project. I helped get some feedback on the project in general, but it wasn't feedback specific to the design that was offered. It was just asking people, what do you think should happen to this site? So there's been no survey on the project as designed. So we don't know what people think. There were people at the CB7 hearing last June, but that's not that much feedback. There weren't that many people. There hasn't been an exploration of the costs and alternatives available. So we haven't really dug into the cost of the project, the development costs. There have been no design alternatives offered. So these are some of the questions that I think we should be asking ourselves. These are some of the facts as they exist in relation to this project. So I think it's worth asking, do people in the neighborhood want this to enter ULURP in April or May? And if not, should they say so? So those are some of the updates. Again, Chair Pena said publicly that there had been this meeting and that there was going to be an upcoming land use committee meeting scheduled very soon. And then in a subsequent email to me, he clarified some of the information that he had said previously to the board, that no slides or documents had been presented, but they're going to present the same presentation to the full land use committee sometime in March. So next official meeting or next CB7 meeting will be in March. Supposedly there will be a land use committee meeting sometime in March. So these again are some of the updates related to the 783 4th Avenue project as of March 4th, 2026. To my understanding, this is still the rendering of the project. And that's where things stand right now. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to discussing this further as we go forward.